Hello and welcome to this afternoon's webinar on how exhibitors are using digital marketing for success. An extra warm welcome to our guest speaker, Warren Knight from Think Digital First, who will give you some background shortly. Just to let you know, this webinar is brought to you by FaceTime. Some of you will already be familiar with the FaceTime initiative, but for those who aren't, it's an industry-funded initiative designed to educate, inform and assist exhibitors in enhancing their exhibiting performance. We do have a suite of resources, most of which are free. For any questions on these, please feel free to drop me an email after the webinar on carmen@aeo.org.uk. We will be dedicating a short time to questions at the end of this session, or during, so if you have anything you want answered during the presentation, please drop them in the chat box. This webinar is being recorded and we will be sending out the slides, so don't worry if you don't have time to scribble everything down. So just for a quick overview on the FaceTime resources, there's the hugely popular Exhibitor Masterclass, which is a one-day event with a range of speakers covering everything from stand design to social media. You can find out more about our upcoming event at 30 Euston Square, London, on the 6th of October, at facetime.org.uk/masterclass. Our exhibitor shorts have been widely used among the exhibitor community. They're a great way to get to grips with the exhibiting cycle in an easy-to-digest format. We also have exhibitor performance enhancing webinars, which you're currently sat on, which generally run every 6 to 8 weeks. Keep an eye out for news on the next, and of course, if you feel like there's anything you'd like to learn more about, do drop us a line. If there's a demand for a topic, we'll certainly cover it. Additionally, there are exhibitor guides for your reference, as well as research, which goes a long way to demonstrating the power of live events. So I'm just going to hand it over to Warren. Welcome, Warren.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you very much for the introduction. How are you today? Okay, excellent. I presume it's been handed over to me. Thank you. Okay, so I thought we could have a little chat, but no problem at all. So my name's Warren Knight. Thank you very much for spending the time with me today. We're going to be with me today for around about 45 minutes to an hour. So I do really appreciate you spending your time with me, knowing that it's such a gorgeous day outside. So thank you very much for that. So what I'm going to be sharing with you today is all about how you can use social media and digital marketing to really get a better understanding of where your target audience hang out, how to engage in those two-way conversations, and then ultimately convert them into being customers. If you want to communicate with me throughout the presentation, you can do at my Twitter account, which is @WarrenKnight. Please do feel free to use the hashtag EXMC whilst we're going through this process. Okay, so let's get started. I want to take you through what I like to call my social media 6-step path to purpose. This is where I want you to think about all the different stages that I'm going to be taking you through and how you can apply them to your business. The first stage is all about a goal. Now, think about this. What was the reason why you wanted to come onto this webinar today? What was the goal that you wanted to get out of understanding a little bit more about social media and digital marketing? Because that same tactic applies when you're looking at your own business. What is it that you're using social media for? What is that goal? And I'm going to go into more detail around that for you. Listening in. Why is it important to listen? I'm going to take you through 3 different stages that are going to help you get a better understanding around what that means. Content. What type of content should you, as a business, be putting out online? I'm going to be sharing with you some great statistics around a certain type of content and then highlighting some other areas around that content. We're going to be jumping into the tools. So when I say tools, tools are a piece of technology, and that technology will be social networks or some other kind of tools that I'm going to be sharing with you, like a social media dashboard. Then I've got a template for you around conversations. So how should you be communicating to somebody maybe pre, during, after an event? And then why it's so important to get that call to action. It's great that you build an audience inside social media. Like I say, I've got over 27,000 people that follow me in Twitter. Twitter for me is my go-to social network, but it doesn't mean that I don't have brand consistency across all of my other social networks. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions now, and I'm hoping you guys are going to be listening enough to want to answer them. But I want you to think about, what problem do you solve? What was the business set up for? What was that place of passion that either you, the managing director, the reason why you wanted to come and work with this company, whatever it might be, what was the reason why you wanted to come and work with this company? What problem do they solve? Well, when you look at some of those problems, when it comes to actual social media, out of these 7 questions here, now we've got a chat box on here today, guys, so please do feel free to use it. We've got numbers 1 to 7. Just let me know exactly what you feel is your biggest challenge when it comes to actually understanding social media and digital marketing. Is it that you're not quite sure how to set up your profile quickly for your business? Maybe you have a personal account, but actually it's all to do with the business. Or maybe you're on social media at the moment, but nobody can find you. Do you have followers that are inside social media, but they're not replying to you, they're not liking, they're not commenting on the conversations that you're putting out there? Or maybe you just have a great business and, there's nobody knows about it. So which one of these would you say that you are when it comes to your business? I just want you to think about some of these, because what I want to do today is to answer the questions to some of these biggest challenges that you have in business. And then, what is the desired outcome? We understand what the challenge is around the business, but what is the desired outcome for wanting to use social media and digital marketing? Is it that you really feel, and you've heard, and there's case studies, and you've got competitors out there that are growing their businesses really nicely by engaging in this new technology that's out there? We are going through an industrial revolution, and technology is leading it. So do you want to double your business? Is it that you would like to grow your business to the point that actually allows you to buy a house or buy another house? Or maybe you want to take your business from a 6-figure business to a 7-figure business. It's a great place to find staff. When I built my technology company, I actually used LinkedIn and found my lead developer. So that ended up saving me about £10,000 in recruitment fees. So I use social media and the technology around digital marketing to find that person to come and work with me in my business. So what is your desired outcome for you and for your business? So I'd like to stay to the end. We are going to be here for about 45 minutes to an hour. I will personally answer all of your questions at the end. As Carmen said, you get a copy of the presentation, and we can just sort of share some ways how you can continue your journey in regards to a better understanding of learning social media. Okay, so what is social media? We've got a couple of you that put some great questions in, so thank you very much, Matthew, Faith, Charlotte. Thank you so much for putting the answer into those questions. But what is social media? What does social media mean to you? Well, social media is the through process all the way to understanding digital marketing. So, and digital marketing has to be integrated into the overall marketing of the business. So there are different stages when you start using social media, i.e. Twitter, and you're pushing out a piece of content. What do you want that user to do? What action do you want them to take for them to be able to come through into your marketing funnel of your business? Now, for me, when it comes to social media, I try and think about analogies and how I can position those analogies to try and help you get a better understanding of social media. So what I want to share with you today is my analogy around social media being, it's a trade show in cyberspace. Now, I used to work out of China for 11 years. I sold products globally around the world, worked with about 40 different countries, had a great time traveling. This was pre-2007 when retail was, we were having a great time in retail, shall we say. And when I used to do the trade shows over in Hong Kong, and specifically in Hong Kong, because that was where we used to find our big buyers. Now, whilst it's a huge trade show, and there are thousands of people walking that trade show, so what I want you to think about that is, if you have a Twitter account, or you've got a LinkedIn profile, or you've got an Instagram account, or you're asking people to take an action and then they're coming into your marketing funnel and you're sending them an email. All of these people are walking past your business in cyberspace. So when I was on my stand in Hong Kong, I would stand at the edge of the stand and I'd wait for a particular type of perfect customer. And that perfect customer to me at that point was, generally it was a guy walking with a female, and the female was potentially the buyer, and he was the managing director or the CEO of the business. And then behind them would be 2 or 3 Chinese people that they would then be able to communicate to the Chinese factory, talk about the production, talk about shipping, containers, signing LCs, whatever it might be. But I knew when I saw that type of person, a man with a female and 2 or 3 Chinese people, that was my perfect target customer. So when it comes to social media, we have to visually and contextually look at these type of individuals. We've got to listen to those conversations. When somebody says that they're a CEO of a particular business, we can actually put that into the social networks and it brings up that particular person so that we can then go, yep, that's the person that we need to speak to, and then we can start having a two-way conversation inside of that particular social network. So I'd like you to think about social media as a trade show in cyberspace where you showcase your products or service, enabling you to engage with thought leaders, connect with potential target customers, and build your brand. So I'm going to share a little bit of data with you at the moment. Now, this data you might or might not know at the moment, but one of the most important pieces of data when it comes to thinking about customers is that nearly 7 in 10 customers expect us as businesses to be using social media. So that's 67% of people, after being surveyed, said that actually we want our brands to be using social media. So what does that mean to you as a brand that's not using social media at the moment? Well, if you're not communicating what your value proposition is in the social space and online, when that person has a problem and they want that problem solved, they will gladly go to your competitors because your competitors are using social media and engaging with them in a two-way conversation. Then we look at it from a business perspective. So 76% of businesses are using social network for a business objective. Now, there's been an awful lot of talk over the years in regards to why on earth would I want to listen to somebody on Twitter talking about walking their dog and having to pick up poo from the floor. Well, yes, you can do that, or there's a cute kitten that you want to watch. That's fine if you want to do that from an emotional, personal perspective, but from a business perspective, more and more companies are thinking about it from an objective perspective. Then we look at actual business owners. So hopefully one of the reasons why that you're on here today is because you want to expand your knowledge. Maybe you are one of those 39% of business owners or marketing managers that don't really understand how powerful social media can be for you. So I wanted to put this statistic on there for you so that you didn't feel like that you were alone. There is actually other people out there that do have the same, if you like, concerns as you, lack of understanding, whatever it might be, so that hopefully by the end of this presentation, maybe a little light bulb's gone off inside of you that will actually go, right, the next action I'm going to take after the presentation is start communicating on social media. But when you're communicating on social media, it's really important that you understand that 80% of users are accessing social media through their mobile phone. And this statistic is actually getting closer and closer for the whole of the World Wide Web. More and more people are on their mobile phones trying to find something from a location. So they're in a town, they're looking for the local Starbucks, and they go to their mobile phone to look where it is. Or they're looking for a particular product, and they're in a store at the moment, and they're looking at that product, but actually the price of that product seems quite high, and I'm going to go on my mobile phone maybe to try and find a cheaper price or a brand that I know, like, and trust. So really think about when you're communicating about your business online that you do it in a succinct way that connects with your target customers. Now, when it comes to social media, the first step is not social media. And what do I mean by that? if you're going to go out there and use Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, email marketing, pay-per-click, SEO, whatever it might be, if you're going to use these digital tools, you've got to have a strategy for the reasons why you want to use them. I was talking with somebody yesterday, and they were sharing with me that they'd spent £5,000 on pay-per-click, on driving traffic through to their website to try and convert customers. And one thing that they hadn't done was actually prove the concept that when customers came to their website, they were interested in engaging in their products or services. They spent the money before proving the concept. So when you're looking at using social media, it's really important that you understand what that buyer's journey looks like. Now, I've got an image on the screen at the moment, and again, as Carmen said, we're going to send you through these presentations, and I want you to think about the different types of individuals, users, personas, whichever terminology you want to put around that, and really think about what that persona looks like for you. So for me, I've got one of my personas, and her name is Debbie. And Debbie's 38 years old. She lives outside of a big city. My husband works full-time. She's a mum. She's got a couple of kids. She drives a 4x4. I know what Debbie looks like. So what I want to do is I want to get into the understanding of the different stages of the buyer's journey of Debbie. So when we look at that, when Debbie's in the early stage, she's in a question stage. So she's going, so what is this business? What is this product? How can this product help me do what I want to achieve? How does this service provide what it is that I'm looking for? So at this moment in time, what Debbie's doing is she's asking that what is question. She has not decided that she actually wants to buy the product or service, and she certainly hasn't decided what company to buy from yet. So if you as a brand are sharing the what is conversations out there online, you're writing content on your website, so blogging is a fantastic way to do this. If you jump over to my Warren Knight website after today, you'll notice that a lot of my blogs are all about answering a question. It's the how-to. So you look at those keywords in regards to what you're doing as a business and fulfill that need of Debbie when she's in that early stage of that buyer journey. So now she's got the what is. Now she's in there, well, how do I go and do something? So now I know I've got the problem and I understand what the problem is. My next stage is, well, what have I got to do? Who's the right company to work with? I recently got married about 4 or 5 weeks ago, so we went through the phase of understanding maybe how to do ring sizing. My partner couldn't come down. My fiance couldn't come down with us when I went to go to the jewelers. So I was in that. How can I understand how to size a ring when I even don't have a ring? So in that how-to phase, I've made the decision that want to buy something, but I haven't made the decision in regards to what company to buy it from or what maybe even the price of that product is. So now we're in that middle stage and we've answered that particular question. Then you can start answering that question around how can I? So how can I buy this product? How can I integrate this into my business? Because I've made the decision, I know I've got the problem, now I want to find the right company that's going to deliver the answer to that question for me. So there's 3 different stages here that Debbie's going through. So with persona number 2, you've got John. So when John's in his early stage, he's asking a slightly different question. Well, do I really need this? I've heard my friend talk about it when I was down the pub. I went to a networking event. It sounded like it was a great product, and the guy delivered really well when he was up on stage, but do I really need this? So as a business, if you're answering these questions, you're taking your user through this buyer journey. Now, John's got the answer to that question. The answer is, yes, I need this for my business, but now it's a deeper question. I want to know what's involved. Does it mean that I've got to give up 2 days of my time to learn this new platform? Does it mean that I've got to send my team away to go and understand how to use it before they even engage with my customers that's going to help us ultimately save time and take money off the bottom line? So John's now what's involved in that. And then when he's got the answer to that what's involved, now he's like, right, how much is the cost? I'm ready to buy. I understand what the pain points of those problems are. I accept those pain points of that problem. Now I'm ready to buy. So you can see 3 different types of questions, but each one of these are early, middle, and late stages. When it comes to communicating about your brand, you've got to think about these 3 different stages. Some of my customers, they like it, they see it, they buy immediately. I've got other people that I nurture on my database, and it takes them up to 2 years to end up making the decision to go, do I really need this? Oh, what's involved? I know, I'm going to jump on a webinar, or I'm going to, download that white paper or ebook. Okay, great. Now I've got an understanding more about that. How much is the cost? Please give me the answer to that question. So, we're going to get into it. What's the goal? What's the first stage that we're going to go through with the goal? So, part of that goal is understanding having a strategy. So as I mentioned to you before, if you are doing a launch of a new business, or you are launching a new product within your business, or maybe you're going down to a trade show for whatever reason, whether you're being at the trade show or whether you're going down there to look for potential companies to work with. So make sure you have a pre, during, and post strategy. Towards the end, I'm going to give you my template of how you can communicate on one of the different social networks, giving you the answers to the pre, during, and post, making sure that you're staying emotionally engaged with those triggers and using terminology that clearly defines the different stages throughout this strategy. Then we look at when you've met that person, so you've gone to that show, you've acquired that new lead, you've got an inbound marketing strategy that's going on at the moment, and you're nicely filling that pot of potential target customers. At that point then, make sure that you use technology to connect with these individuals. Go and follow them on social media. Connect with them inside of LinkedIn. It helps you, as what I like to say, it reduces that sales cycle. When you've met somebody and connected with them online, and then they read your profile, see what your business is all about, you've already got a head start in regards to what you're doing at the moment. I'm working with a technology company, and I've been working with them now for about 6 months. And at the beginning, they couldn't really understand the reasons why we were writing these types of articles. So we were writing content out online and then publishing it out to a certain sector. They then realized that when they ran a webinar, sharing with people what's involved in this product, then a meeting came out of it. My client went in, spoke to that individual, and he pulled out all the paraphernalia all around the business, what it does, how it works. He just went, oh, I've already read all of that online, and I've checked you out on LinkedIn, and I saw that you did X, Y, Z in the past. Just talk to me about what it means for us to be able to have this integrated into our business, and tell me what the cost of that is. So what he didn't have to do in that meeting, because we put all the content out online, was spend an extra 45 minutes trying to build trust with that person, because of our online platforms had already built that trust for us. And then the last thing from a goal is generate that lead, get that sale. This is really important. It is something that you should always think about when you're doing your social media and digital marketing. The next stage, listen. So why should you be listening? What is it that's important around listening online? Well, when you listen, people share with you what their pain points are. They also share with you where influencers might hang out. So when you find out where your community is, then you can focus your marketing in that particular core area. So depending on what industry that you're in, if you specialize in B2B, for me, from a social selling perspective, Twitter and LinkedIn work hand in hand. They're fantastic in regards to building that online trust. But that doesn't mean that I don't share my content out on Google+, Pinterest, Instagram, because those other social networks drive traffic to me from Google. So find out where your community are, and you can do that by listening. Where are those influencers and advocates? So those brand advocates that love talking about you and your brand. The biggest form of flattery when it comes to your business is when your customers talk about you online. You cannot get a higher form of recognition when people start talking about your business and saying how fantastic you are. That instantly builds credibility for you as a business in that person's community. So find out who those individuals are. And the last one, and this is one that I love because it goes back to what we were talking about, the personas earlier, is generate leads by solving problems. When you know what those pain points are of your potential customers, writing great content, listening in online when people are saying, I've got a problem with X, knowing that you as a business can solve that problem. So listen to those conversations, and when you engage in that two-way conversation inside of social media, that builds that trust and helps you generate that lead. So this is an infographic. I don't know whether you know what an infographic is. It's a fantastic way of taking some data and visualizing it in a lovely little picture. So what you're looking at on the screen at the moment is just a little bit of a breakdown of the different social networks that are out there at the moment, how many users they got, what is the average age of that user inside of that social network, what is it best for, so Facebook for building brand loyalty. Now, if I was going to agree with that, I would have to say that it would be inside of a Facebook group. I wouldn't say that from a building brand loyalty perspective, in this day and age, works really well with a Facebook page. When you have a group, it really does build that brand loyalty. Google Plus, fantastic from a search engine optimization perspective. The only reason why I use Google Plus is that it drives targeted traffic from within inside of Google. To really get a better understanding of these social networks so that the time that you spend in them gets you a great return on your investment. All right, so I've got a question for you guys. What gets you 150% more likes and 89% more retweets? So go into the chat box and just let me know what you think, what type of content gets you this type of engagement. Just let me know what you think it is, just put it in there. It's a certain type of content that you would put out online that gets you a better engagement than any other type of content. Yep, Kelly, brilliant. It is pictures. It's images. That's what it does for you. When you put an image out, whether it's an article that you're writing, sending out video content, no. Competitions, Caroline, no. Good, because there's an awful lot of chatter around video at the moment, but it's actually pictures. People will happily retweet a visual over and above video content at the moment. I will be jumping into a little bit more about video content a bit later. So, Charlotte, jokey pictures, so you're saying cute little kittens. Well, yeah, very possible from a fun and emotional perspective, but I'm not quite sure whether or not from a business perspective that quite works. But it depends on what industry that you're in. But it's definitely pictures. So when you have that picture, you can, from an understanding an outsider's perspective, you get to really visualize what this brand is all about. So you've got two girls there wearing sparkly dresses, you've got the brand in the background saying sparkle, and the actual stand itself is full of all sparkles. So it really gives you a nice visual of what the brand does, then enabling you, if it's something that you're interested in, allowing you then to go and share it and retweet it and do whatever you want to do with it. So now what I want to do is share some other types of content that you can use for your business. You've got infographics. Now, there's some great tools that you can use around infographics. I'm going to be showing one of those with you in a little while. Video, by far, every year they've been talking about it. 2014 is the year of video, 2015 is the year of video. No, 2016 is definitely the year of the video. So if you are thinking about what type of strategy that you're going to be using next year for your business, I would definitely make sure that you're integrating video into that. And video now comes in many forms. Video is, I'm going to do things in real time, so I'm going to live stream. Or video means I'm going to do something very structured, which means I get a videographer in, we do it in a studio. Or video means I'm going to do a lifestyle shot video and then I'm going to post that. So you've got different types of video that you can use for your business. Blogs, everybody should be blogging. Google wants you to be writing user-generated content on your website. So in other words, putting content on there and getting people to comment on that content. This is the type of things that Google want to look at around your business. You've got white papers, great way to gather email addresses. Case studies, another great way. running competitions. I do a lot of social media and digital marketing training. I've been doing it for over 7 years now. And one of my delegates that came onto one of my events, she generated 3,700 leads, and out of those leads generated an extra £3,000 in revenue at a cost of £100. So at that point, she was an online store, ran a competition, which started in Facebook, but then you could have it across all the other different social networks. And when she generated those leads, then used digital marketing, in other words, sending them an email to let them know about the products, offering a discount code, and then getting an acquisition around all of that. So competitions really is a great way for you to be able to produce content online. Pinterest. So just let me know in the inbox below, just let me know how many of you are currently using Pinterest. Just give me a yay, nay, no, Warren, want to, using it personally, whatever it might be. Just put in the chat box below yes or no. Just give me a yay or a nay. Okay, so we got some people coming through. All right, great. Yeah, no, but my wife loves it. Yeah, it's fantastic. And my now wife, she had, I can't tell you how many different types of wedding dresses probably thrown into her box. So, yep, Rebecca used it personally. So I'm going to share with you now the strategy that I use from a digital marketing perspective when it comes to both Pinterest and Facebook. Now, Pinterest and Facebook both have exactly the same feature built into the back end of this social network. And what it enables you to do is, so it doesn't matter kind of what type of business you've got, whether it's an e-commerce store and people are buying online, whether you're a business and you've done trade shows or people give you their business cards and that generates a lead for you, you should have a database of your existing customers and probably potential target customers. With that database of that name and email address, what you can do is you can put them into a CSV file, so an Excel file, and load them up into Pinterest and into Facebook. What happens then, those two particular social networks allow you to run a pay-per-click campaign inside of that social network focused perfectly on your own target customers. So we'll only run an advert to the people that already know you as a business. So when we're looking at it from a customer retention perspective, and you know those people know, like, and trust you and have bought from you already, what it does, it allows you to communicate your brand, your value proposition inside of the social network where they hang out, giving them the opportunity to click on that advert and then come through to your business. Now, this is a strategy that I use within my business. And what it does, it enables me to increase my return on investment. So when I'm going to spend some cash focusing on running a pay-per-click campaign, I know when I run that campaign to my existing target audience, I get a much higher return on investment than just going out online hoping that somebody will find my business, like it, and then buy from me. So Pinterest and Facebook have this same feature called custom audience. The next one is Twitter. As I mentioned, Twitter is my favorite tool. You can see I've got over 27,000 people that are following me. A couple of the little features inside of Twitter. One of them being you can pin to the top. So you can see here my article. I wrote an article all about why Pokemon Go is great for small businesses. Again, look at the way that's being positioned in regards to the user journey, the buyer's user journey. It's that why stage, and then I've focused it on a particular type of companies, if you like, small businesses. I didn't say, look at Pokemon for corporates. I was like, why Pokemon is great, the emotional anchor for target audience, small businesses. Now, this particular article went viral. It's now had over 10,000 views. It's had over 1,400 likes, 72 people commenting on it. It's probably had, like, I think it's about 500 odd shares now. One piece of content that was 400 words got that type of traction. So when you get that credibility, pin it to the top of your Twitter account, whether you've got a new product, you're going to be at an event, whatever it might be, pin that to the top and let it stay there so that people can see it and then they can go and retweet it themselves. Another great little feature is that you can actually understand the analytics inside of Twitter. So looking at this at the moment, you can see that there's a graph that spikes just before 3 p.m. So I'm sharing this with you because I know it's round about 1 o'clock that I know that my audience are most engaged with me as a business. So if I'm going to share my most valuable piece of content out online, by looking at Twitter's analytics, I can see that it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to share that at 12 o'clock at night because my audience aren't listening. So really think about that for you and for your business and analyze this information. Go over to your Twitter account. If you haven't got this already, then you can actually contact Twitter for that. Now, I'm going to give you a little heads up, guys. I don't know if you've heard about this or not, but I read an awful lot of content online, which hopefully keeps me my head above the water in regards to what's happening. Twitter's changing. Twitter's got some new rules that they're bringing out in the next couple of weeks. And if you want to find about that, you'll have to pick up the phone and give me a call. No, I'm joking. What's going to happen is Twitter is removing the handle of the particular name of that person as a character limit. So let's say that you want to have a conversation with two people at the same time inside of Twitter, and you've got at John Smith's company would be one Twitter handle, and I am the infamous Jonathan. They're very long Twitter handles, which taken up an awful lot of the characters inside of Twitter. Now what Twitter's saying is we're not going to include the Twitter handle in your communication. So we are giving you 140 characters to talk about what it is that you want to say in 140 characters without having to worry about actually including their person's handle on it. So if you haven't heard that, remember where you heard that first. On average, there are 5,700 tweets sent every single second. Hold on. Yep, there was another 5,700 tweets that just got sent. How do you listen into those conversations? But more importantly, how do you get your brand heard over and above all of your competitors? Facebook. Now, I'm not going to ask the question because, I'm sure some of you are using it personally. I can see a little theme going on here at the moment. Yes, I'm using it personally. I am using it for my business, but not really in the way that I would love to do so. So I'm just going to share with you again. It is the year of video. There are 8 billion views every single day inside of Facebook when it comes to video. If you are thinking about running a paid campaign inside of Facebook, it is cheaper to run a video campaign than what it is to run an image campaign. So where you might put an image up around your product and what you do with a little bit of copy on the page, and little tip for you, Facebook only allows you to have 20% copy on your images. Imagine if you ran a video and the video told a story around your brand. It's cheaper to run a video campaign than what it is to run an image campaign inside of Facebook. Facebook also now have Facebook Live, so you can now live stream what you're doing to your target audience inside of Facebook. So a couple of the little features that are great for Facebook at the moment. Then we look at LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. LinkedIn, again, as I mentioned before, from a social selling perspective, Twitter and LinkedIn work hand in hand. When I write a piece of content on my website, and that's the first place that I put that content, I then go and place that inside of LinkedIn. There's a feature inside of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Pulse that allows you to write content, and then LinkedIn will push that content out across its 430 million members. But not all content goes viral. So you can see here, we've got some emotional triggers going on. So 7 secrets, Twitter features that you should be using. We've got 7 secrets to driving traffic with content, the science behind social media decision making. We've also got then the why Pokemon Go is great for small businesses. You'll see that that's cut over 10,000. You can see the numbers there yourself. So I love putting my content inside LinkedIn because then I would never get that type of engagement on my Warren Knight website. It just wouldn't happen. To get 10,000 people coming over to my website to look at one article, I don't have that sort of traffic. But LinkedIn does. So when it comes to using LinkedIn for your business and having a strategic approach around LinkedIn, definitely write your content inside of LinkedIn, but make sure you're using those right keywords and emotional anchors to get people to take action. Google Plus. Sorry guys, just taking a little drink there. You've got Google Plus. Now Google Plus is Google's social network. All they've gone and done is taken a little bit from Facebook, a little bit from Twitter. Now their recent thing that they've taken is they've taken a little bit from Pinterest. So what they've done now is you can now go into your Google Plus business page and you can set up what they've called a collection. So as we heard earlier, who is it talking about their wife loving? Okay, so James, your wife loves Pinterest. So inside of Pinterest, she's got lots of different boards inside of her Pinterest account. She might have one about food, about shopping, about shoes, whatever it might be. So what Google Plus have done, they've gone, oh, we really like that idea. We're going to call them collections. So now, you in your business, if you've got different areas within your business, so within my business, I've got about 8 core different areas. I've got SEO, I've got PPC, I've got social media, I've got email marketing, I've got business growth. Each one of these are a collection inside of my business account inside of Google+. So that when I write a piece of content all about email marketing, that email marketing article sits inside of my email marketing collection. So that ultimately, when somebody goes over to Google and whichever stage that they're at with their buyer journey, what is email marketing? Google goes, hold on a minute, there's this collection here called email marketing. There's all content inside of that collection all about email marketing. I'm going to bring up that blog from that particular individual and I'm going to put it on the front page of Google. Then what happens is that person sees that on the front page of Google, clicks on it, sees the article, then clicks on it again to read more information and comes through to your website. So I purely use Google Plus from a search engine optimization perspective. I don't use it as a way to building a community like I would do inside of Twitter and Facebook, Facebook and LinkedIn. Instagram. So Instagram have brought out a couple of features recently. The most recent feature is Integrand Stories. So I'm sure you've all heard about Snapchat. If you've got kids, your kids might be using Snapchat. But what Instagram done have gone, great, that's fantastic. I know, we're going to allow our users to take a video for 15 seconds and then we're going to post it as a story for everybody on Instagram to see that. So that's what they did. Copied Snapchat, brought it out, called it Stories, and set it live inside of Instagram. It's fantastic. I love it. It's 15 seconds, say what you want, and then move on. So Instagram Stories, another feature they brought out just a couple of months back was Instagram business pages. They're very similar to Facebook pages. But if you're not using, again, you've got to understand, make sure it's your right demographic when you're using Instagram, but Stories is a great feature, and think about using that as you move into 2017. 26% of sales come from recommendations on social media. Your friends are happy to go online and talk about what a great service they've had. They're happy to take a picture in regards to what that product is that they're wearing or buying or using or whatever it might be. They are happy to go and talk about that online. They are recommending these great services and features and products because they want to be seen as a little thought leader in their own little community. So really think about that for your business. If you're not using social media and you're not allowing your customers to talk about your brand online, then you are potentially losing the opportunity to generate more sales through those recommendations. Okay, so Matthew, I see that you put a little note up there a couple of minutes ago in regards to Hootsuite. So if you're not using Hootsuite at the moment, guys, I highly recommend that you do. Now, there is another tool out there. Well, I say there's another tool. There are quite a few other tools out there at the moment that are snapping away at the heels of Hootsuite. And one that's been around for quite a long time now is Tweetdeck. Tweetdeck and Hootsuite came out roughly around about the same time. I've been using Hootsuite now for about 7 years, and I absolutely love it. It helps me save time. So what you're looking at on the screen at the moment is I can listen into conversations. So yesterday I was at an event down at Olympia, and my audience were generating content on my behalf. So people were saying, thanks very much, Warren, got a copy of my book, thank you. Other people going, learning so much, and then they're putting their Twitter handle and then taking a picture of me talking. All of these users are generating content on my behalf, ultimately building my credibility, ultimately doing a recommendation around me to all the thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people that are following those people. So I can listen in to these conversations. Also, I can listen into conversations around a brand, or think about it from a competitor perspective. So the second stream that you're looking at here is the FaceTime UK. So FaceTime UK, we're pushing out content around my webinar, me smiling, other people coming along and retweeting it. So I think that top one that you can see there, it had 2 or 3 retweets, a bit hard for me to see because my screen's smaller than yours, and a couple of likes. So again, when you use that picture, it gets you more retweets. But more importantly, Hootsuite allows you to schedule content to go out at a specific time of day across 4 different social networks. So when I write an article on my website, and I do it on a Tuesday and a Friday, once that content gets written on a Monday, I will then schedule it on a Monday to go out at 1 o'clock on Tuesday, because that's the best time of day that people read my content. The latest content goes out at the spike, according to my analytics, and when people are listening to my content. And Hootsuite allows you to do that. And as I said, I can push that content out across 4 different social networks. And just to give you a bit of a heads up, one of those social networks could be LinkedIn. And inside of LinkedIn, I've got my group, I've got my personal page, I've got my company page, and I'm associated to about 20 other groups as well. I can import all of these groups into Hootsuite and use it as my social media dashboard to listen in to what other people are saying at the moment. So do you remember what we spoke about earlier in regards to, look at what pain points people have, and when somebody talks about a problem that they have, you can then solve that problem. So by having a dashboard and listening to those conversations, you can jump in and have a conversation with that person. So James asking, can you find the spike from Hootsuite, or do you need Twitter Analytics? Hootsuite does have a feature, so the third tab down, you can see that little chart there. Hootsuite does have analytics built into it, but it really gives you likes, retweets, comments, that sort of data. It won't give you that spike around the time of day. Twitter's analytics is slightly better than Hootsuite's at the moment. So that's Hootsuite. It's the best tool that I can recommend to use from a social media dashboard perspective. It's free if you have 3 different social networks. So that's free for 3 social networks. If you've got 4, you've got to start paying for it. Conversations. So now what I want to do is I'm going to give you a little template. And inside of this template, and I've been communicating this as I've been sharing with you today all about social media digital marketing, the importance of keywords and emotional triggers, and making sure that you're being transparent when you're communicating that message. So what you've got here at the moment is, hi at John Smith, so we're communicating to somebody. Are you coming to, so asking a question, the at trade show, whatever the name of that trade show is, on these specific dates in that month. Our stand number is 24, and then looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, and then with a little hashtag at the end. So this message is not about something that's happening today, it's about something that's happening tomorrow. So by using these keywords and these emotional anchors, you can be very transparent when you're communicating your message out online. Then we look at what you do during. So what a great start to the 2016 at trade show, so the Twitter handle of that show. Call to action, take a look at the team on our stand, hashtag again the trade show, because people search by hashtags. So this particular post here has a nice picture all about the crew on the stand, big smiles on their faces, and letting everybody know what a great start that it's been. In other words, that means if they're having a great start, that means people are coming on their stand, that means people like their product, that means they've got a successful business. So when you read between the lines of your communication, you can actually see that this is a very strong brand and they want you to come along and have a conversation with them. Then we get to after. So after the show, you've got a different type of communication. Amazing 3 days. Now, that's a word that I use a lot, so you don't have to use my word amazing, but you're more than welcome to. Amazing 3 days at the trade show. We've met some old friends, made some new ones, and we're going to see you in 2017. So in other words, the show's been such a great success for us as a business. Guess what? We're going to be around next year. You don't need to worry about us because we're not going anywhere, because we are a successful business. So when you're having these conversations, think about what you can be doing pre, during, and post an event, launch, new products, whatever it might be. But put these anchors inside of that. Okay, so James, you're asking me a question. Does that mean that you write hundreds of the same types of tweet or just to key? I can't see any more of what that says at the moment. Just key inference. Okay, so does that mean you write hundreds of the same type of tweet or just to key inferences? So James, it really depends on what the context of the message is. When I write an article, I do publish that article over 7 days with the same content, but I push it out at different times of the day. Nobody is ever on social media 24 hours a day looking at your stream. We're really not that special. So when it comes to sharing content out online, if it's about influencers, make it personal, and then if they engage back with you, take it out of that social network and build it, take it to a phone call and then a meeting. Whereas if it's content that you want to push out around your brand, send it out at different times of the day, but across different social networks. Because when you send that information out, you want to make sure the last part of the 6-step path to purpose around social media and digital marketing is the call to action. You want people to take an action around what's going on at the moment. So whether that's you want to bring them down to your stand, whether you want to take them over to the website because you know on the website you've got a pop-up box that's going to get them to download that white paper. Maybe you've got a handout for your products and services, so when you do that handout, then what you want to do ultimately is get that business card from them for giving that away. Maybe you're a technology company and you want to bring them on the stand to give them a demo of what your products look like, or you do a lot of personalization, so you actually want to show them how you personalize what it is that you do. But ultimately, this always wants to come to the point of generating a lead. Get that call to action outside of social media. I wouldn't have the size database that I've got now, even though I've got probably over 60,000 people that follow me across social media. I wouldn't have the size database that I've got now if I didn't do the ask inside of those different social networks. I'm not saying do the ask all day long, and I'm definitely not saying do the sell all day long. Make sure you're adding value to those users so that in Pareto's law, 80% of the time add value, 20% of the time do the ask. If you would like information around the presentation that we've got today, I've also mentioned a few things that I can give away to you. I've got various different downloads that I've got for you. If you're interested in this presentation, Carmen said you can do one of two things. You can either, Carmen can send it out to you. If not, my call to action to you today is write down gettalk.it/webinar, go to that link. And one of the reasons why I would love you to go to that link, actually, it enables me to get a better understanding of how I've delivered for you today. Because it is really important to me to make sure that the content, the presentation style, the information that I give you, I'd like to get your feedback on that. Because the more feedback I get from you, then the better I and my business can be. So my call to action to you is go to gettalk.it/webinar. It now takes 8 times. It used to be 5. Having a 5 touch point connection to a potential target customer used to be enough to get that sale. It's not the case anymore. Social media has blown that right out of the water and now turned it into 8. But if you think about what I shared with you earlier, when you get that lead, go and connect with them inside of Twitter, inside of LinkedIn. You might meet them at a show. Let's go on a user journey around these 8 types. You might meet them at a show and go, hi, Luke. Yeah, love your products. Fantastic. Here's my card. Love to find out more about you. Luke goes back to the office, puts that email address into his email marketing campaign, sends, we'll call it Peter, sends Peter an email. Touch point number 2. Luke then goes into LinkedIn, finds Peter, connects with him inside LinkedIn, touch point number 3. Peter gets the email and says, yep, I'd love to receive some samples. I'd love a demo. Touch point number 4. Great, thanks very much. Sees that. You connect with him back again inside LinkedIn. Go, how do you like the demo? Hope it really worked for you. Yep, loved it. Love to have a conversation more about that. Let's meet up. You meet up. Then the contract goes out. Then the sale comes. 8 different touch points. But you see how social media played a massive part in bouncing those touch points around and ultimately helping you save time. So that was my 6-step path to purpose. Make sure you've got a goal. Listen in to those conversations. Define what type of content you want to push out online. What tools you want to use. Which are the best social networks? What's the best email marketing tool? What's the best social media dashboard? You know, these are the things that I've shared with you today are just my recommendations. Doesn't mean that you have to use them. You know, we're all different. Left brain, right brain, whatever it might be. Find the tools that are going to work for you and for your business and make them work for your business. Then engage in those 2-way conversations and make sure that you're always getting those people to have that call to action to bring them outside of that social network. So I now hope that you can see why social media is so important for you and for your business. If you're not doing it, I promise you, your competitors will be. So that's me. I just want to say thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the masterclass, the online webinar. If you want to get this information, and there's a lot more information that I'd like to give to you, go to gettalk.it/webinar.
Thanks so much, Warren. That's been brilliant. A really insightful webinar there and really loving the interactivity too. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you've got some key takeaways there to put into your daily practice right away. If you do have any ideas about what you'd like to see in future webinars, please drop a line to hello@facetime.org.uk. And as Warren mentioned, the recording will be with you in the near future. Thanks very much. See you soon.